right, he says, if you're in the middle of something, and then you think like half hour later, oh God.
I think it's a techie thing, and I don't think we have techies to run it.
It doesn't take techies to run it, Tim. If you have clipboard, we used to have them in the fuel trucks, and I think some of that stuff is in that packet. We used to have a sheet in here, it had mileage. If you filled it up, it had your gas, and it told you they had to put down where they went. I mean, it's not a big deal. It sits right by the truck. There's a pocket in the side of the door. Walpole Valley graded 2 hours. You put it back in. It's whether they want to do it or not. You know, it's something they might not.
And I've said this a million times. I said, until you get a process working on paper, there's no use in automating it. So I'm still of the opinion we kill the automation part, and I would like to see more of that type of stuff that those guys can work with. And the long and the short of it is we do need to make this a requirement. This isn't an optional thing. This is not if you find time to do it. If we lose 5 minutes in a day from somebody because they had to fill out a form, and we get better data out of what they're doing and we can make better decisions, that's 5 minutes well spent to me.
I think that you should explain that to them.
We will do that.
And sit down and say, I don't care whether you miss 5 minutes from this.
Yes.
You know,
We'll be very clear on that.
Because we're trying to find out how many hours you're doing mechanical work as opposed to how many hours you're on the plowing or grading or.
We'll have that conversation with them. Okay, so we save $600 a year by killing T-sheets
We'll have
right
to
now.
find out how to.
Okay, and I think Joel set that up, so he would probably have to, if you log into the account, you can go to the part that says cancel account, and we can do that.
It's on yours anyway, isn't it?
Okay.
It's on yours.
All right, the second thing I wanted to bring up was alsteadnh.gov.
.org.
.gov.
.gov.
This was another domain name that was purchased by one of the selectmen that serves no purpose at all. And I believe we are still reimbursing for that.
We were. I don't know that we have lately. So, but I think that probably
that can go away too. Okay, I think that's some amount of money per year.
Yeah, and I've got to figure out where that is. Okay.
Yeah. So we kill that one. Let's say that's a couple $100. Save $800 up for today. What else we got? And then you said that you didn't think we had got a charge from.
We didn't. Last year, and he's always been really fair, I have to tell you. He actually did. We paid $600 for that when I got it started, when I got him to do it. And then we only paid for the domain, and in the last year, because we're using that, what is it, print shop or what? WordPress, yeah. He charges us $120 for that and $20 for the domain.
So $140 per year. My only issue with this is that while it's up and it's operational and it's a fairly decent price, we can't do anything else. So personally, like we talked about last week, I would love to have our own email system with our own email addresses at alsteadnh.org. So could you talk to him about that and see? I'm sorry, Linda. Kelly, could you talk to him about that?
3 days a year.
I'm trying to get something done.
And just see him, and quite frankly, it's just turning over the reins. It's turning over the administrator, username and password, and we can do it.
Maybe you can talk to him sweet, because he doesn't like me.
And he definitely doesn't like me.
I did. This
The guy who provides our website.
Well, he was better to you. At least he showed you some stuff. He wouldn't even give me the time of day.
I had to badger him to convince him that I knew what I was doing and that I wasn't going to crash the site. And that it always took like a couple hours every time I dealt with him.
Really?
Yeah. And some things I bring up, he's
His
like,
name is Danielle.
He said, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm like, okay, I'm the customer. I appreciate we we'll continue our relationship, provided he can provide us with more access to,
He has not charged us this year, and it usually comes in February. I looked up.
well, we need to investigate whether he's still around then. That might-
I think he is, he's still on the telephone book.
If that's the domain we put our email on.
No.
That's what we would if we could. Yeah, the only thing he gives us access to is the website itself.
Are we still gonna do an email?
Well, that's what we're gonna try to
That's
get.
the whole thing.
If I can, yes, if he can free up rights, access to that, then we can build out our own email.
We could never get that website, in other words, from him at all. We have to go to him for that website, right?
No. He could, relinquish control of, well, we've gotta find out, that's the whole thing, somebody has the, access, somebody is set up, he probably owns the website itself, but there's no reason for him to own that if he can turn it over to us. And we, begin paying for it, or, he has no vested interest in it.
Okay.
We'll work with him. We hope.
Because that will also put you in compliance with backing up emails too, which has never been done.
We can do things like that, and that's the whole thing,
That's the reason behind it all, isn't it?
that's a primary.
Yeah, legally.
Yes.
Yeah, we can put in
That's
our
why I have 5
retention
million.
policies, do our own backups, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right now, it's completely on Google and Comcast and Gmail and whoever else is using whatever they are. So it would be a good thing. Plus, it kind of keeps at least the state government from being able to go in, or anybody actually, any court going into your personal email if they have a 91A request. Okay, so we'll pursue that. You can talk to Daniel, and I'd be happy to talk to him too.
For 2 hours.
No, for 12 minutes. Okay, any comments from the public? Anything going on we should be knowing?
I just have one question. We have a couple of negatives in a couple of columns. Fire department has one. I can't remember.
What's that you mean?
I have a couple of them.
No,
That is because you're going over the
no,
negative where?
no, you requested, 15,000 and it's a negative 754. It's in the last line of the fire department,
Can you refer to page numbers?
page 10. Sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know why that's.
There's another one in the ambulance, wait a minute, ambulance, page 9, 389. There's a bunch of them.
I'm gonna find out what they are.
One in the police department. And then, there's one other question I had, and maybe it's just coincidental, in the EMS, there's two $17.46. Maybe it was a charge for each department on page 11.
Well, I can actually speak to all of my overages.
It's not over.
I don't think you have
It's the ones
overages, they're negatives.
that are negative.
Those are negatives, and I don't know why. I think probably what happened, and I'm not sure, I'm not gonna say what happened. I will try to figure it out.
Yeah, I can't. And they came up right here.
And there's one in PD advertising.
Unknown properties, one of which is
Marketable.
Yeah.
I just wondered if there's a glitch or something going on.
No, I think it probably is has something to do with, the end of the year. I'm wondering if I have it. I'll find out, I'll call Aaron. They can tell me when it happened, so I can look back and find out what went on.
Glenn, can you leave that here for a day or so?
I hate to lose that. That's a lot of work right there.
Can we,
Make some copies.
11 by 17?
Is the yellow one?
Produce them or something?
Yep.
Could we make copies of
You
that
like
for you?
copies?
Just an office copy to have in here so that we can, that's okay.
I'll check
trade you a full budget for
Okay. You're gonna look into issues with budget numbers getting a little wacky.
the negatives on budgets.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do have one more thing. I got approached by the PD about renewing the contract on our satellite phone, which goes for $552 a year. That includes 0 minutes of airtime and $1.27. So I'm debating either going to a $442 a year plan that would give us 10 minutes a month. That would at least allow us to test the phone. So while we have a satellite phone, we don't know if it actually works.
That comes out of their budget?
Comes out of emergency management budget, which would be my budget. And I'm also debating doing an emergency plan, which would be even less. It would be somewhere around the $300 range, as long as we didn't use more than 45 minutes in a year, which would give us enough time to do testing on it. Then we would simply pay during emergency if we needed to do it. And it's only $5.99 a minute, which I thought was pretty affordable. But the thing is we pay $552 a year, and we never use it. It's
How much
just
per minute is that, like?
I got no minutes.
Oh, if you use it, it's $1.27 a minute. So, like I said, as long as you don't go over 45 minutes in a year, which ideally we shouldn't, if we just test for a minute every month, then it's still less expensive. So, I don't know if Penny's brought that up with you guys, but we'll get that wrapped up in the next day or so. I talked to a couple of providers today. All right, sorry to hijack
And
the
that's just
conversation.
for your emergency plan, and then,
The satellite phone.
Satellite.
Downstairs in the PD is paid for by emergency management.
What happened, I think we got that with a grant or something, at the last one. And what it is when the phones go out and everything, you can
that's,
use
backup.
that's the backup.
That's backup.
Oh, so we're just talking about, renewing it, but, well,
That's assuming the hardline phones go out, the cell phones go out,
Like the
Okay.
radios and stuff.
okay.
and then you got,
At which point, who are you gonna call?
I know.
Ghostbusters.
Log that one up there, just set it up nicely. All right, and regarding the budget, Linda's gonna get some more answers, and then next week will be our budget review meeting, correct?
Is that the first one?
That's the
with
first
David.
one. So, we will, talk to David first, and then we will go 100% into the budget for the rest of the meeting.
Kelly's gonna get the numbers.
I'm memorizing.
All right, any other discussion from the public? I know you got something you want to bring up?
Land that the town owns that's not on the tax rolls. Glenn has done a lot of research, has them all spelled out. We need to decide if we're gonna.
What do you mean it's not on the tax roll?
It's not on the tax rolls.
Oh, no.
Nobody's paying taxes on it, it's exempt.
But the town owns it.
Town owns it.
Okay, but it's not listed anywhere, that's what you're saying.
Well,
It's not getting taxed.
Nobody's paying taxes on it.
Doesn't
That's
it
all
mean
with
the
the
town
house.
doesn't pay taxes?
Well, I know, but I can't figure out where you're. Let's sell it.
Oh, that's what.
Somebody won't pay taxes.
You wanna generate?
yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Actually, from previous board, we ended up purchasing signs that will have municipal bid on them, which I sold other equipment through, which I also could sell land through. If they will give it a whirl, and I was gonna try the Gilson Line Road first, which
There's somebody already interested in that. She came in yesterday because it's a neighbor, she doesn't want neighbors.
well, there was actually, 3 bids when we tried to sell it back in
Right.
whatever year that was. And I have those names, and I figured we'd send letters to those people to see if they're still interested. Send certified letters or possible letters to each abutter around each property. And then put it on municipal bid.
How much is regular letters?
Or regular letters, yeah, either way.
I think we should. Yeah, send letters to the abutters.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Well, I think it's important to send letters to the butters, but it's also important to make sure that they're not the only ones that are making an offer on the land.
Agreed.
Yeah, and that's why
Correct.
just have a sign put out front,
Yeah.
and it'll be on municipal bid, which goes nationwide.
And they will have an opportunity to bid.
But it will be in the paper or anything like that.
We could put it on the paper.
I was just thinking that, you don't want to close a deal and then find out that you've got 8 people that were interested in it.
I'm not sure how much ads run, but.
Would it be worth getting a realtor?
No, you can't.
You can't.
You can't, and so, you only have 2 ways to sell right now. It's by sealed bid that the selectmen open at the meeting and put it out, or because you passed the article you did, you
2
can,
years ago,
you
yeah.
can sell it on,
Electronically, which then you thrive on, you actually see it's an open bidding, so it's not sealed bid, so it generates
I think if,
income.
yeah, and I think if the vehicle sales and indicator, we've done pretty well versus
Right.
Blue Book, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah, we're getting triple.
So there's like 4 or 5 in there we could actually sell.
Right, the one I wanted to start first with was the Gilson Mine Road. There's some out in Shadowland.
you did a little bitty piece.
Oh, there are signs for the all out, but.
Oh, no, it's all right, we can keep things rotating.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, like a month.
This is a municipal finance question, and I don't know if anybody can answer it. But does the town benefit or suffer from having assets? In other words, if we were to liquidate assets of the town, does that affect our balance sheet?
What it does,
Is
what
that
it
a treasurer question?
No, treasurer isn't gonna, no. It affects your, right now, it really doesn't affect your assets, because when all it does is affect how much you're gonna get in from taxes.
Right.
Taxations, because all of this building and everything else is figured in our total value, that 168 or whatever it is, billion.
Right.
1,680,000, anyway,
It's
yeah.
not awfully high there.
No, 160, whatever it is, anyway, 168 million.
Right.
For the
But
Yeah.
town lands are also in that figure, because they're an assets, all your assets are all your land and your buildings. So the only difference it has is what taxes are generated by it.
So it can only be a positive.
Right.
Right.
Can't be a
Unload
negative.
it.
Correct.
That was the question I was saying.
Because it's already in the valuation.
Yes.
Okay.
So even if you had swampland on there,
Right.
and you sold it, and we got $1 for it, and we got taxes on that,
It's all more than you had.
well, plus taxes.
Close tax.
Is there a law that says you have to put it out to bid? Like you have a neighbor.
Yeah, you only have certain ways to sell town land.
Can you sell it to an abutter if he's very interested?
It has to be a sealed bid, or it has to
Can't
be
have
on
bid
unit.
Okay.
Right.
Is there gonna be like a minimum bid? I mean,
I don't
They
know.
recommend
have a
not.
setting set?
What it is in the end,
You
You
know,
have it.
cost us money.
refusal. The
Oh.
selectmen have the, ability
We
to
don't have
refuse
that
any
set.
bid or all bids, so everyone that I write.
Oh, so they do have that,
right? So, and they suggest not putting the minimum on it,
Right,
and, just that.
because before that land didn't even, the land on the Gilson Mine Road, the bids were so low, I understand.
Actually, they weren't.
Oh, they were?
I'll bring that in next time, and,
We'd have been better off.
Okay.
If you had a notice in the paper that the town of Alstead is receiving bids on a piece of land in Gilson Mine Road, that would be all you need to do to cover yourself as a public notice.
right, you'd have to put down, municipal bid and also the item number, because you
Yeah.
assign an item number
Okay.
when you're listed on that.
But that would cover you as far as publicly noticing everybody that it was the same.
Correct.
Yes,
Is that required in this?
I think because it's on municipal bid, I think that is your public notification.
Okay.
And actually, they do advertise if you go into that website, it actually tells you, actually, if you like it on Facebook, you get all kinds of notifications on something goes up for sale.
I accidentally signed up for their email notification.
Yeah.
Still trying to get out of that one. Again.
Yeah. On that, and actually David moved the trailer down, so I'm gonna, hopefully maybe tomorrow or the next day, I'm gonna try to get some photos and get that set up to, I'd like to put that out front, but what I'll do is I'll write up the thing and then send it to you guys, and like I did with before, and you said with it.
I just want everybody that's interested to be noticed, that's all.
Yeah, and you're right, I mean, sometimes there are requirements that we do public notice, and it's good to know we're
And
covering our bases there.
maybe you could work with the Alstead Chronicles people and put it on Facebook.
I do,
Yeah,
I do already.
that seems
I've already
like
put it
it's.
on. I hit
Great
all that
source of
stuff.
disseminating all sorts of it.
But I do agree, there are some people that still are not on the internet.
Exactly, yeah.
So it might be a good thing just to put a little, an ad and.
You're gonna write this up?
Yep.
Get it to us.
I had the legal that Joel got me, and then I was gonna write up a brief description of it. And I have, the deed, copy of the deed, I think I probably could put that on there, and that's just public.
Yep.
You know, so I'll probably image that in and put it on there too, so there's some little description of it. And I actually outlined it on Google Earth. It's actually,
Picture of a squirrel or something like that. Could be nice.
could be an Arab, I should have seen that. So, yeah.
There's your heading for your ad.
Yeah.
Does a bear.
Well, actually, there's a pond up back there, it actually goes into that pond.
Yeah. How many acres is it?
There's seven, I think.
All right.
So anyways, yeah,
I think you have our blessing to move ahead on that, right?
Yep.
No objection?
12.5 acres. We have it valued at 29.7.
All right. And moving along, anything for the agenda for our next meeting?
Well,
Realize
yeah,
we're- Oh, go ahead.
but it doesn't have to be next meeting, it can be anytime. It can be tonight if you wanted. I've been doing some, I guess you call it research in our tax in arrears, and how many properties we've got that we haven't collected tax on for 10 years or whatever, quite a few years. Goes back to '07, so that would be 8 years. And, it's better than I thought, actually. But I was thinking for an agenda-wise, maybe we should put it on our agenda sometime and decide whether or not we want to do tax sales again, because it hasn't been the policy of the previous boards to take land that's in arrears of taxes. And each individual case is different, each individual case has to be reviewed. Some we can't take because they may be going through or have gone through bankruptcy procedures. Others we may not take because they may not want to own the property that they actually are living in. So there's different reasons why, but each one of those has to be researched out. There's not that many, there's probably 20 or so altogether.
And we would, do we do these in non-public? Last time we went through these, we went through a bunch of these last year.
Yeah, and I think it's nicer too, because of
The actual work session could be non-public, but I think there's not much sense in even doing any of it if we don't want to pursue the collection part.
Well, I'm not opposed to it. We did do some things last year that led to at least a couple deals. We approached some people, sent out some letters and things like that, and we were able to get a couple of them.
Actually, we're getting quite a few that are setting up payment plans.
That's good. So Tim, would you like to we could tack on a non-public after a regular meeting, or we could make it a.
Well, I would like to do an informational part first, to give you a scope of the size of the problem, and then you can decide whether or not you want to actually get into the individual issues.
Okay. If you want to put something together on that, we could do a non-public after our next meeting. Does that work?
I got it right here, whenever you're ready.
Okay. We'll then next week we'll schedule a non-public meeting after our regular meeting, and we'll discuss that. All right. Anything else? Anything else to add to next week's agenda? Budget plus David plus non-public, that's what we have so far.
And if I could steal you guys for a couple minutes, I'd like to show you the issue with the door that needs to be
In the
replaced.
dark?
It's an interior door.
Okay.
It's technically, Kim and I went and looked at it, it's technically less a door problem and more a wall problem.
Gotcha. Did you guys resolve your office space,
That won't be an issue if we can get
the door?
security, at which point it won't matter.
Okay.
Things can be out. Right now, neither of our things can be out, and we have very limited place to squirrel things
Okay.
away,
Okay.
because he's already lost a generator.
Isn't that something that we could get a price on and then just bring it in for us to review?
I would not be opposed to that.
I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
really
Just
arguing.
yeah, I don't think you need to convince us of the need.
Okay.
The question is convince us of the cost.
Yeah, I was actually hoping to catch the guy doing the door on Friday,
Right.
because I figured he would probably be a good person to ask about doing a bid on that small sectional wall with the door.
We have a few people now, right, that we've got bids from, or you can get all those names from us and float it back out there, but nobody's gonna question the need, we just question the cost. And how ambulance is gonna pay for it. I'm just kidding.
Well, they got 156% over budget.
All right, and nothing else for the agenda then?